Well, welcome into another edition of the Old North State Sports Show. We are on the eve of free agency for the Carolina Panthers and the rest of the NFL. We'll have some tampering beginning to happen, but as we get into the final hour or hours before this really kicks off, let's take a look at what the Panthers have done over the past few days, notably bringing back some key players at positions on the offensive side of the ball. Tommy Tremble, Austin Corbett, and Cade Mays. So the offensive line, the tight end room, all intact, of course, minus Ian Thomas, who likely is not going to be coming back. Now, if you're interested in understanding the state of the Carolina Panthers, where we sit from a cap space perspective, where each of the rooms sits, being quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and this includes every guy that's currently signed, I'll have another video coming out for that, so be sure to tune in. I'm going to drop both of these today, tonight, the 9th, the eve, and then, of course, during the week. I'll do everything I can to get you guys caught up with all the news that we get. I'll be traveling late in the week, gone for 5 days, so the odds of me being able to record then slim, but I will give you information as it comes through and, of course, get you guys caught up to speed. Now, anyways, let's go ahead jumping right in with the news that kicked things off, and that is the announcement on Panthers.com that Cade Mays and LeBron Ray will be returning for the 2025 season. So the team placed a restricted free agent tender on Mays, as well as one on exclusive rights free agent LeBron Ray. Mays originally was a 6th-round pick in 2022, 199th overall. He came back from a stint on the Giants practice squad and started the final 8 games. We got to talk about that. The fact that this guy was on a practice squad, was with the Panthers, got cut, goes to a practice squad, comes back, starts 8 games, and you're going to have competition. And we're going to talk about Austin Corbett coming back in a second. But overall, very cheap acquisition for the Panthers to make this decision. It made sense. Same thing with Austin Corbett, considering the history there, some of the injuries. So really the only player likely not coming back as it is today on the offensive line is Brady Christensen. And that's because he just couldn't break through. I know a lot of people like him. I did too, but for whatever reason, didn't stick. And you had Mays and the battles. And I know he swung around to quite a few places during the season and during his time here in Carolina. But I'm sure he wants to go somewhere where he can start and know that he's the starter. And he deserves it. He should. He can play multiple positions. He's probably one of the best utility offensive linemen that a team could have, even if he doesn't break through. So you have him coming back. You also have the news of LeBron Ray. And Ray, who was originally signed with the Panthers after a training camp workout in 2003, started 9 games last season, had 41 tackles and a sack. So you like to see it. No, the defense wasn't great, but if you can add young pieces on the defensive side of the ball like this, and then build some veteran presence around him, I think it'll be good for the Carolina Panthers. He played through a broken hand late in the season, finishing the year with a large club. He played 627 snaps, second most among all defensive linemen. So, again, big time acquisition, in my opinion, for bringing in Mays. And then I like the depth that you get with Ray on the defensive side of the ball. League year begins Wednesday at 4. Remember, you're going to start to see some news flickering in on Monday afternoon. And like I said, I'll do my best to keep you guys up to date with all the information. Austin Corbett also announced. Austin Corbett is returning to the Carolina Panthers. Panthers made an improving the offensive line a priority last year. We talked about this extensively. They brought back Mays, as we just discussed, and now bringing back Austin Corbett. I agree with the decision. We're going to talk about his contract in another episode, although I think we're getting the numbers finalized here. But it's smart. It makes perfect sense, in my opinion, for the Carolina Panthers to bring him back. Now, I will caveat that with, hey, you're probably going to get a competition in Austin Corbett, which I enjoyed, clapped back at David Newton when Newton tried to say that Austin Corbett didn't want to come back. He wanted to go somewhere there wasn't competition. To see him back here, it's kind of funny. It really is funny to see this, and I cannot wait for the season for Newton to ask him a question, because I can only imagine the response or responses that he is going to give. Now, I know he'll keep it PG and peaceful. Don't want to get too crazy in there, but Good move for the Carolina Panthers. Again, all of this with stability. You got a really good offensive line. This past year, a much improved offensive line. Bryce Young looked much better behind them as the season went on. Keep it. Keep everything intact. Offensive scheme, you're going to have that. The power in the run game, take it. And then it's just one piece that you don't have to worry about. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't think about bringing in, because you're going to need bodies. So you're going to bring some guys in, whether undrafted free agents or maybe late draft assets, bringing someone in, because Taylor Moton probably, up for discussion if he's going to be back, and it was $31 million. I'm speaking of next year. Seems like the Panthers are content with the way things are right now, but you never know when that replacement is going to be needed, and a decision to be made on Ike Ekwuanu's contract, of course, is also in the mix. And the last news that came through was the announcement that Tommy Tremble is returning to the Carolina Panthers as well. Tight end Tommy Tremble agreed to terms on a 2-year deal hours after they finished the one for Austin Corbett. You got to remember, he is only 24 years old. Very young player. Originally a third-round pick out of Notre Dame. Of course, he is best friends, like I said, here with Chuba Hubbard. Had his best season as a pass catcher, 23 for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns. We know he missed some time. He's a really good blocker. The passing side, or pass catching side of him, also vastly improved from what it has been. And this was smart. And I think the original number that came out was around $16 million. I think it's officially settled on $10 million guaranteed, split over 2 years. So you're probably in the $4 to $5 million range as far as a cap hit. I'm still waiting on Spo Track. I know Mike K, Joe Person, a few other guys put out the numbers. But you're really $4.5, $5 million. Not bad at all. When you look at the market of tight ends and where tight ends sit, and of course, you're not going to be on the upper end. I don't think I would label him as tight end 2. I still think he wants to compete for tight end 1. I know you have Jatavian Sanders. The mix, if both of those guys are healthy, should be very productive, but it's not going to rule out the Panthers still need another tight end. And challenging that room, always important, whether they decide to do it through the draft or sign another free agent. You can't carry 2 tight ends. You need at least 3 in your rotation, depending on the packages. And we saw with injuries last year, Jordan Matthews, a few other guys, Felipe Franks having to get brought up on the roster. So I would still look for the Carolina Panthers to potentially be aggressive with the tight end position. So that's your news, man. That's pretty much all the acquisitions that have happened up until this point. Also remember J.J. Jansen, Andy Dalton, and actually, to be safe, we can go directly out here to Panthers.com and look at the team transactions, just so I make sure, because I stay busy just like you guys, I'm not missing anyone else. Matthew Wright, J.J. Jansen, Andy Dalton. That's it. So it's been a pretty light year. Let me switch over so you guys can see as we talk through this. Like we said, Tommy Tremble, Austin Corbett, Cade Mays, LeBron Ray. Dane Jackson was released. Re-signed Andy Dalton and J.J. Jansen. And then, of course, Matthew Wright, the kicker. So very light right now as far as the Panthers' activity. We would expect it to increase here. And, a lot of people are going to be wondering what's going to happen on the defensive side of the ball. Panthers wanted to put themselves in position to play a game before the NFL draft, so you can really draft best available. At least on the offensive side, I'm not going to say it's a fantastic offense as is, but it's the same one you had last year, and you were able to play with that. So I think this is exactly where the Panthers want to be. Still decisions to be made about Miles Sanders. I know it seems they're still trying to work through a potential restructure. We're going to find out, because he's making quite a bit of money. And you got to figure out a wide receiver, I think, still with DK Metcalf, of course, probably being the top priority for the Panthers as I record this right now. Asking for, lowering down to a second-round pick. We will see if the Panthers end up getting into the mix, being able to execute this. I don't know if they have the money, because the $30 million that he wants is a lot. So anyways, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode. Again, you can go out. I'll have the other video on cap space, where it sits today, available shortly. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.